Jerm. Some people call me Jeremy Nell. My wife calls me Duis. I'm a cartoonist. I'm not a public speaker, as I'm sure will be evident over the next few minutes. I've always been a cartoonist. Actually, that's not strictly true. I've always drawn cartoons, but I became a cartoonist in 2005. You might say I came out. Coming out wasn't easy, though. I was ostracized, and many didn't approve of my life's path. Thankfully, there were those who did approve and were delighted that I decided to stick it to the man. It's not like it was my choice, though. I mean, I was born a cartoonist. But I will fly that flag with pride. In the 3 years leading up to 2005, I was working in the research and development department of a mobile technology multinational. And I left the company later that year, not on purpose. I was fired. But I decided quite literally overnight that I would pursue a career in cartooning. With no qualifications, very little experience, in fact, no experience, very little money, and no well-placed contacts with whom I could sleep my way to the top. I bought myself a digital drawing tablet, created a website for myself into which I'd put my cartoons, and I decided to follow this career path. I submitted my cartoons via email to as many friends and newspaper editors as I could find, and most didn't bite, but thankfully a few did and gave me hope. And in 2007, something very interesting happened. I was emailed by the editor of a very influential newspaper, and he had seen some of my cartoons in an email that had been doing the rounds. Incidentally, I had seen the same email. And he offered me a prime spot in his newspaper. I accepted the spot, and thankfully, opportunities arose as I increased my credibility thanks to the opportunity that he gave me. Andy Warhol once said, making money is art. Working is art. But good business is the best kind of art. And those words ring true when you're broke. See, investing in digital hardware and software was a more sustainable option, particularly because art supplies are very expensive. Ink, paper, markers were costing me a large amount of money. In fact, so much that I wasn't really able to pursue the career that I was dreaming about. But thanks to lots of hard work and efficiency, thanks to working digitally, you see, when you work digitally, you cut down on a lot of your costs while maintaining a very high level of quality. But mishaps still happen. Of course, they are on the down low because you can rectify them quite quickly, but mistakes do happen. For example, in 2009, I drew a cartoon in which I was commenting on the state of public hospitals. And in the cartoon, the surgeons are operating on the patient, but the quality of the machinery around them is so poor that they're left with no option but to say their prayers. As you can see, in the left panel, he says, "Doctor, the patient's going into cardiac arrest. Do something." And the doctor starts saying his prayers, accepting that he's not. If you read closely, you'll see that he's saying, "For what we are about to receive." He's saying grace. Now, that was a mistake. You see, when I drew the cartoon, I must have been very tired or drunk, because what I intended to write in that second panel was the generic "Our Father who art in heaven" prayer that I learned in school. But instead, I wrote the generic "For what we are about to receive" prayer. I showed it to my wife later that evening, and she looked at it and said, "Why is he saying grace? Is he going to eat the patient?" In essence, what had happened was I zombified my cartoon. And so what I did was I contacted my editor immediately, to which he replied, "Oh shit." It was too late. it had gone to print, and I didn't get any complaints the following day, but I did get a comment from a doctor who said, if you've ever worked in a public hospital, you know that your cartoon depiction is not that far removed. Oh, oops, there we go. I carried on working, and in about 2010, I was offered a daily position for a national newspaper to draw editorially for them. You see, I freelance, so I don't work for one particular publication at any given time. I accepted that position, and 2 years later, in 2012, I left that newspaper, not on purpose, mind you. I was fired, but for reasons I won't go into. But something magical happened. I had a number of great offers that came immediately after that. It was a very good career move getting fired. But a very interesting thing happened. I was offered a position to draw politically for a broadcaster, a radio broadcaster to be specific. Now, this doesn't really make sense. And what they actually wanted was for me to draw for their website, and they would discuss it on the radio and on social media, then driving traffic to the website and ultimately my cartoon. I accepted the position in what would be a first. For the first time in South African history, a cartoonist was being paid to draw politically for an online-only publication. This was a pioneering move. It's an amazing move. Not only was I drawing digitally, I was being published digitally. No reliance on print. I did a cartoon for them. Madiba was admitted to hospital. And a very worried-looking South Africa sitting on his bedside, and Madiba saying to South Africa, "It's you. You must get well soon." Now, let me give you some perspective. Tabloids aside, in South Africa, the average daily circulation of a newspaper is around 50 to 60,000. My cartoon was viewed by approximately 500,000 different people around South Africa and around the world. See, the interesting thing is that traditionally newspapers have been the primary feed, and the internet has been the secondary feed. For example, the newspaper might say, "For more, go to our website." But not so with me. My entire career has been based around the internet. Digital has been my primary feed, and print has been the secondary translation of my work. I'll give you another example. When I drew a cartoon when Whitney Houston died. I think that was 2010 or 11, I can't quite remember. There's a whole lot of pills lying up against the CD. It says Whitney, the greatest hits. This cartoon was deemed too offensive to get published in the newspaper, and so I posted it to my website. It received so much attention, so much traffic, that within a day, it was republished in an American newspaper, and within 3 days, it was published in the same South African newspaper that rejected it. The interesting thing is that the power of digital compelled the print media to respond. See, what's pretty magical about this journey has been that I've been able to follow my dream using an entirely alternative platform. A few months ago, I was offered a political cartoon position at another broadcaster, strangely enough, this time a TV broadcaster, in fact a really big one. I accepted the position and I left the previous radio broadcaster. But consider this. That position now was open for a new cartoonist, and I'm very happy to say that 2 cartoonists have filled that position. In a matter of a year, 3 meaningful cartoon positions have been created out of thin air. In an environment that was inconceivable a few years ago. When newspapers die, cartoonists die. But not so if we can grasp onto the advent of digital. A few months ago, Madiba was admitted to hospital a second time, and it was, if we all remember, it was fairly serious. And I remember very clearly, it was a Sunday night. It was about 10 o'clock in the evening. And there was a full moon outside. In fact, a very big full moon. It's what's known as a supermoon. It's when the Earth and the moon are at the closest. And I was watching TV, and I got a call from the news team in Johannesburg, and they told me the story, and they said, "Are you able to draw a cartoon and email it to us as soon as possible?" Stupidly, I said yes. And because I was tired, as one is at that time of the evening when you're my age, I couldn't really think of anything, so I phoned a cartoonist friend of mine who goes by the name of Curtis, and we brainstormed and collaborated an idea over the next hour and a half on the phone. I then drew the cartoon and I emailed it at about 3 o'clock in the morning. As you can see, there's a supermoon with Madiba's face on it, silhouetted by the world's landmarks in front, and the ticker reads breaking news. 10 o'clock. Mandela's condition critical. Supermoon watches over Earth tonight. When I woke up about 4 hours later, my cartoon was being discussed on the radio, it was being shared on Twitter, it was being shared on Facebook. It was everywhere. It even appeared on Time magazine's website. See, I'm not trying to downplay the importance of newspapers. Newspapers have their place, but they are dwindling. What I am trying to achieve here is to inspire, that I've been able to follow my dream thanks to the amazingly multi-dimensional world of digital. See, I've been able to break the one dimension, the single dimension of print, of newspapers. I've been able to pioneer and create many dimensions in the world of digital. As I said, I'm not trying to dilute the importance of newspapers. They have their place. But in my journey, digital killed the newspaper star. Thank you very much.